All right, guys, so I went ahead and pulled this stuff out. Uh, this was what was in the box. It was packed in some pretty nice foam here and a plastic bag. This is the actual device itself. Again, I got the 1.5 kW model, which works out to about 2 horsepower. It came with a pretty nice manual. It's pretty lengthy and in depth, but it also came with this quick start guide, and that's going to be ideal for most people. It's pretty easy. Taking a look at the VFD, they've got L1 and L2 labeled here. With single phase input, you can pick any two. They've gone ahead and pulled the screw out here, so it's really straightforward. These are going to be the two hots in the US. That's typically red and black. There's also a ground screw here. It's really important that these units be properly grounded. The HDMI module does come off, and Amazon has the ribbon cable. If you'd like to remotely mount this, I actually don't recommend it because they can be fragile. Here we've got our motor leads connections. UVW is more of a nomenclature you see used in European countries. T1, T2, T3 is what US guys are used to. These connections are for the break-in resistor. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then this connection here can be used to ground the machine to the VFD, which again I do recommend, especially with concrete floors and stuff. You can get a pretty good shock. Taking a look at the quick start guide, it's going to go ahead and tell you to mount the VFD, connect the input wiring, go ahead and make sure everything's tight, close that cover, connect the output wiring, start the VFD using the run button. You can stop it, the stop button, and of course change the frequency with the knobs. It's also going to tell you how you can go through the hierarchical structure and change your function codes. You really don't have to do that on this model. Taking a look here in the book, you'll see this wiring, which looks like it can be fairly complex, but basically what they're showing you here is that you can use remote push buttons, switches that are built in to your lathe or your milling machine to do any number of features here, and you set each of these digital input and outputs to, if you want one to be start, one to be or start in the forward direction, start in the reverse direction, stop, whatever you want there, fast stop or an e-stop. If you have a lathe that has a brake pedal, you probably want to use this versus breaking the power from the VFD, because that's one of the biggest issues that people have with VFDs. When you break the power from the output, it can destroy the output transistors in the VFD. So you don't want to do that. Taking a look here at, you've got one analog input, one analog output, and what you can do here, the 10 volt connection, you set up a voltage divider with a potentiometer. It's really simple. You wire it up just like shown here, and that signal is going to vary as you turn the knob on the pot, and whatever you set your output frequency to, 0 to 60 hertz for instance, it's going to vary with the position of that pot. So although this looks like it can be pretty complicated, this wiring up here is just your input single phase and output 3-phase, and this wiring down here, if you choose to use it, would be start and stop, forward and reverse, and then setting the speed with an external pot.